Thank you.
No, sir.
Heather, anything?
Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns Equity Committee.
What is it, National Assembly?
Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns Equity Committee.
Equity Committee, okay. Oh, new business? Is it new business that you want to talk about?
Heather, is it new business?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll put it under new business 5C.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Heather?
Not for me.
Okay. Kathy, got anything?
I'm good, thank you.
David? No. Okay. I hear a motion to approve the minutes from December 15th regular select board meeting and the Zoom and December 21st special meeting by Zoom.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes dated Tuesday, December 15th, 2020.
I'll second.
Oh,
And Monday, December
yeah.
20th.
Yeah.
And the special meeting held Monday, December 20th, 2020.
It's 20th.
I have some discussion on the minutes from 12:15. Is that what we're approving?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Just 1 second.
Yeah, Nicole seconded.
Do we have a second?
Yep, Nicole, a second.
Okay. thank
Any
you.
discussion on that?
Yeah, my discussion is really simple. It's just a little teeny tiny typo. Under 3B of the animal control, it said something like that. Here, let's see if I can find it. It said something like there's not a, it says there's enough there. Sorry, hold on. I wrote a note here and now I have to find it. Okay.
On, Heather.
It's the December
The
15th.
15th meeting?
I'll look at it, Heather.
He is concerned that there is, it says Chair Gilmet stated that he is concerned that there is enough evidence to show that two
Oh,
guys.
not enough. I
Question.
think I did correct that. I actually saw.
Okay, it's
Oh.
just the not part that I was concerned
Okay.
about.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, we all good with that then?
Okay.
Okay. All in favor, signify saying aye.
Aye.
Heather,
Aye for me.
aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
So that is carried as corrected.
Yep, okay. Public comment. Anybody got anything to comment on that's not on the agenda?
So everybody is muted. So if you can raise your hand.
Public comment, last call.
Let's see, I think,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. Law enforcement,
Chief
Uh,
Stell, you,
chief still on this? Yep.
Yep.
Swanton report 4. Evening, chief.
Good evening. So for the month of December, we responded to 98 calls for service in the town of Swanton. A wide variety of calls. We also affected 20 motor vehicle stops that resulted in warnings for motor vehicle infractions. And a lot of those are spread out throughout the town, trying to get, more in some of the other outlying areas. So Pond Road, still hammering for enforcement, Bushy Road, because it just continues to be that problematic road for the town. Then we also issued another traffic stop, which issued a traffic citation for an offense for a fine of $162.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you find that traffic is still really challenging over the dam? Do you find there's a lot of congestion, or do you think it's gone down with people not going over the border?
Traffic in the evening after about 7 o'clock, 6, 7 o'clock, when the commuters are all gone back home, really is almost non-existent
Sure.
compared to what it normally is, even this time of year.
Right.
I think that's because there's so few activities to do that more people are staying home. We
But do you
saw
find
that.
that, do you
We
find,
saw it.
oh, go ahead.
We saw it in the spring when we were kind of in a lockdown. There was just no traffic, and then summer picked back up, not to normal limits because we didn't have any of the Canadian traffic or the tourist traffic that we normally see. And then this fall, it was kind of steady, but now that winter is set in, it's just non-existent. It's like a ghost town.
Okay, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Chief, I guess a quick question. You got quite a few traffic stops and there's only like $162 in fines.
Yes.
Elaborate on that a little bit. This doesn't seem like very much fine for all the traffic stops.
Because the officers issued mostly warnings. Most of the traffic offenses, when you really look at them, weren't that egregious that they would be the type that most people would want to write a fine for, but yet enough to warrant a stop and have a chat with the person, so that it's kind of that double-edged sword. Do you write everybody a ticket and piss off your whole entire community, or you try to educate them to decrease the traffic accidents and stops? So the officers kind of trying to balance that out. We're trying to make that that double-edged sword, more of a community friendly, long as we keep the roads safe.
Yeah. And did you tell me before, it's noted in the system, you can pull someone over and give them a warning?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, as soon as we stop that car in our computer systems in the car, we know if they've already gotten 1 or 2 warnings.
Yeah.
They're not likely to get a third, and we can see the warnings that state police issue also. I mean, it pops right up on our system. So,
Okay.
and they see ours as well. So,
What's your policy on her, Joe?
policy on what?
I mean, have you got a policy as a chief of how many times these people get warnings before they actually get a ticket?
No, we don't have a specific policy. And the reason we don't have a specific policy is it violates some state statutes to say that an officer must do an enforcement action for X versus giving a warning. And it makes people feel that the cops are out just with a quota to write tickets. But majority of the officers, if they see that the person's been warned for the same offense, will then write the citation and give them the fine, unless it's such a minor infraction, like, say, for example, display of the front plate. They might get a couple of warnings for something like that before an enforcement action is taken. But speeding, it's generally that one time, and then the officers are starting to write the offense.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, anything on the police part?
Nothing.
For the help? Okay. The health officer report, page 11. Thank you, chief.
I had to get to mine. I don't remember it off the top of my head. So from the health officer's perspective, what you're saying there is we assisted Clinton County with a follow-up from a dog bite that actually happened over in New York with a dog that was licensed here in Swanton, had its vaccine. The dog was healthy and fine. It was an accidental kind of bite, rough playing with a dog that caused a minor nipping, but nothing egregious. I have an ongoing investigation on Platt Street in regards to trash. I've spoken to the owners. They appear to be cleaning that up. I have an ongoing investigation on Country Acres and there's one picture that I put in your packet. I have a ton of pictures. Basically it's a owned trailer in a trailer lot that is, in my opinion, pretty much inhabitable, but all the state services. I'm still working with some state services on that. Warning, a cleanup letter has been sent to the trailer park along with the owner. This is a person that owns a trailer that's literally dumping human waste out her bedroom window onto the ground and on the side of her trailer, along with throwing her used diabetic needles out the window onto the ground around the trailer, along with other household trash. So that's an ongoing issue that probably, if not rectified, coming up, we'll have to have a specific hearing on it to see whether or not we're going to, as a town, going to take other enforcement action if they don't cease to do the things that they're doing. And then the last thing that I worked on was I had a burn complaint that was actually the village burning their stump dump up by Project 10, but the smoke was kind of just funneling into people's houses on Hodgson Drive and on 78. So after meeting with them and seeing the smoke problem, the fire department was called to extinguish the fire based on the town's burn ordinance and air quality issues. So they chose to deal with it in another manner. And the complainant was saying that they were burning illegal trash there, and myself and a person from A&R looked, and there was nothing other than tree stumps and wood and typical brush. So there was nothing illegally being burned.
Any questions on that? Anybody?
Nothing for you, Chief. Thank you.
You need anything from us, please let us know.
I will, and like I said, for the Country Acres one, we might have to have a meeting, an executive session, next month if things don't change.
So you're trying to find them services so they can get assistance? Is that?
That person literally turned down all of the services that have been provided.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you trying though.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with NCSS, Agewell, and Adult Protective Services, and all of those. I mean, there is, in my opinion, probably an underlying mental illness, but they say it's not enough to do anything with. So
That's hard. Well, thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Old Town Business. Okay. PHD Lake Street Demo Scoping Study Update.
That's me.
Okay.
I'm the manager for that program, working with the consultants, and we have put together a team of officials and local people
David,
to work.
you might need to speak up some, because you're not on microphone.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Anyway, as the manager for the Lake Street and the Palm Shore feasibility study, put together a team of myself, Reggie Delvo, Lisa McDonald, who lives on the Palm Shore Road, and Betsy Forney, our rep commissioner. And on December 17th, we met with by Zoom with the two people from the consultant team, VHB, and went over 6 proposed alternatives that they came up with for that stretch of those 2 roads, and had them explain each one to us. And we looked them over since then. Tomorrow afternoon at 3, the same consultant and team will be meeting again with them by Zoom to narrow down the 6 alternatives to 3 that would eventually be presented to the select board to pick one of them to work with. So that's where we stand right now. Still a work in progress.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, anybody?
Anybody got any questions on that? Thank you, David. The final budget 2021 budget review. First one on the agenda, do we have all the budgets in here?
Well,
Numbers. Yeah.
James, I just put these here
Yeah.
to give the final numbers that are in
Okay,
Kathy's budget she hands out tonight.
Yeah.
And I can just briefly mention that
Now-
one, and then she's gonna explain the general budget.
which budget do we already approve? Kathy?
Basically, you approved the highway budget on December 15th meeting.
Yep.
And the general fund, we did not approve it because I did not have only 2 items.
Okay.
I didn't have the Northwest Solid Waste District, number, which I received in a letter yesterday from them, it didn't change,
Yep.
stayed this last year. And I didn't have the final recreation budget, which I got late yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
So, all in all, the general fund budget itself for any articles. The rescue library recreation actually went down
Okay.
13%. Overall, the budget went down 9.16.
That's the general, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. I have the numbers here from David, if you want me to read them for the budgets. Does anyone want me to
Oh,
read
but
them?
you want the
The
separate
final
budgets?
number.
No, the final number for each one.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if you, do we need to read them or, yeah, wait a minute. Which one you want to know?
Oh, I'm saying that one,
Yeah, there should be all of them.
Well, the highway one should be put into highway and then
Yeah,
Yeah, and the numbers that there, I already took them off what Kathy
Yeah.
presented, and
Uh,
made it easier to read.
okay.
everybody good with the general budget? Yeah, good.
I have a question, Kathy. I'm having a hard time reading this. I'm not a pro like you, so bear with me, please. But I'm looking at the budget. I'm seeing the negative and at the parentheses. What's the overall budget? Is there an increase overall? Do you have those numbers yet? Like, is there an increase in the total overall budget? I don't know where that number is.
Okay, so if you look in where the 2021 budget was, which was 1,267,000. The 2020 budget was 1,267,783.20, and the new budget number is 1,151,674.
Oh, okay, grand total. I see it now, right before library.
Yeah,
Okay, and so,
So if you could-
okay, so there's a decrease.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Alright.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the general budget for 2021.
All right, and a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Was there any other ones you had to do, Kathy, or they're all?
No, that's
That's it, okay, all right. And then I need to talk about the highway. All right. So under the highway budget, we have some old FEMA money that we received at the end of last year. And some money that we got seed money from the state because they're not giving out no money for it's a road improvement money is what we got it for, and they don't have any money for that this year, but they had some money, so they divided up what they had between all the towns. So we've got 64,573.62 from those two things. And then we also have a little bit of extra money in the highway budget. That was needed to the number.
19,894.
Yeah, 1994, there it is. And we're gonna move that money into the contingency fund, right? So we don't want that. That way we can use that money under highway for other things. We got some major projects we have to get done. We can use that money for that.
The money from the state has to stay in the highway budget, correct?
Any highway money has to be stayed
Has
in
to stay on
highway.
highway, yeah.
Under the library, I also had that down for discussion on when they would be included
Yep, okay,
into the town budget.
okay, yeah, we can talk about that after we finish this one. So I need a motion to put this money into the contingency fund.
I make a motion that we put it into the fund.
All right. And a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
Aye, thank you.
for me.
Ayes have it. Yeah. Library. You want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll wait for the end, we'll talk about it one in a second. Okay.
We could hold everybody else up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, okay. We're gonna come back to library at the end and go into executive session and talk about that real quick. and Decide what we're gonna do. So we're gonna move to new town business, town report dedication under 5A. For those of you new, we usually dedicate the town report every year to somebody or whatever. So we need to decide who we want to. We don't have to decide tonight, but just thoughts in your mind of who we want to dedicate it to. Well, dedicated in the past, and some people have passed it, did a lot in the community and things like that. We want to dedicate to other people too. So,
What's the deadline, Kathy?
Yeah.
You need to know.
I would say definitely, what's the date of the next meeting? The
19th, yeah,
definitely that day you have to.
it's the latest, yeah.
After that, you're
Okay.
gonna
Yeah,
be
okay.
2 weeks.
And if you come up with something, just shoot out an email to all of us and we're gonna shoot it back and forth to. We can decide the next meeting. All right. Discussion with Linda. Is it Daniel?
Dano.
Daniel. All right. Is she on?
Linda, are you on? If so, you may be muted. So,
She was gonna call by phone.
She, 868.
okay, so Linda, go ahead and *6 yourself on their phone, please. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Linda, can you hear me?
Just barely.
Okay, it's James.
Can you speak the microphone?
Oh, that might help too, so I moved it and moved that. That better? You hear us now?
Yeah,
You said you have to
It's-
pretty much
it-
right. into it.
yeah, it's kind of breaking up. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
um,
What can we help you with? You're on, you got you on the agenda.
yeah, well, it's being, the matter of the taxes and all that, that's being looked into. They're gonna look to see if they can find the day I filed, which I know which it was. So basically, that's about it for now.
Okay.
When you say they, Linda, who are you referring to?
Legal aid.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you need from us, or is that it?
No, you got my letters. I pretty much expressed how I felt on the situation, and like I said, I've been working on this for a long time.
See that letter, Linda.
Linda.
What's that?
Linda, do you want to review why you're calling in here? So that other people that are watching can understand.
Yeah, you can.
I would be careful. She's represented by legal aid.
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
suggest not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would leave it. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer and I didn't sleep in a Motel 6, but I would be represented by legal counsel. I'd be really careful.
Yeah, I agree.
But as far as the email, Linda, I saw an email, but I didn't see any attachment on it.
No.
That's all.
I'm sorry. Didn't see what?
The attachment on it. Was there an attachment to the email or was it just the email itself?
I don't know what you mean by an attachment. That's why I don't like using computers, because I sent a letter to David and he sent me back saying he would give the select board letters.
Okay,
Like the
so it's an
copy.
email. It's an email. Okay, we're on the same page.
Just forward it.
Okay, yeah.
There was nothing attached to the email. though.
No, that's, the email was the
I wanna
letter.
make clear to her that
Yeah.
I did not receive an email.
Right, no, it was just the email itself, not a
Oh,
letter.
okay.
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
You all good, Linda?
I'm all good.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too, bye.
C, VTLC, brought Lisa City in Town. Heather, that's you?
Okay, so a few times we were all, I believe all the select board members were emailed about a committee that was starting up for equity committee to make sure that everybody has, you know, a fair deal, right? So I wrote them back. I wrote back Maura and Maura, I don't know how you pronounce it, Maura Connolly. And she added me to the committee. There are, I think, 18 for the entire state. There are only 2 in Franklin County. Me, and then there's somebody in St. Albans as well. Maura Carroll, excuse me. So there's only 2 in Franklin County. So I will be attending different classes and stuff like that. Did you have something to say, Mark? I saw you guys talking. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, we're just a concern, you're representing the select board, but we didn't approve you representing the select board on this committee. Is it, I'm looking at you, David. Do we have to okay that before she represents the rest of us?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear that, Heather?
I need permission in order to.
If you're representing, it's one thing if you represent yourself, but you're representing the town as the town and the select board on this committee. So we need to approve you being on that committee, all of us.
Okay, so
See where I'm going?
I make that, I mean, I can make that motion
Yeah.
to allow Heather to represent the town of Swan on the League Cities and Towns Committee that she's put in for.
No, that's fine. There's not a problem with it. I just want to make sure we do it the right way.
okay,
So I made that motion.
A second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you for setting up on that, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
all right, thank you. Got to do it the right way.
Yep, no, exactly. No problem. Community economic development.
Okay.
updates.
Oh, Lordy, I'm gonna be just a second while I switch gears here. So you should have gotten in the agenda packet the January 5th, 2021 updates.
Yeah.
A little bit, and I have one more addition. And I have a request. So I'm not gonna read all of it, but I will go kind of down the row. The downtown scoping study update, there will be an alternatives meeting. Is it in your agenda packet?
Is it in the agenda? packet?
It is, it's after the
Must
health
be.
officer.
Yeah, I must have missed it. Can't wait my finger, so. There we go.
Okay. So the downtown scoping study that's looking at the Merchants Row area, including the First Street Grand Avenue intersection. The steering committee will be getting, slow down. The public meeting will be on January 27th. That's where everybody can see and kind of pick pieces and parts of which alternative they like. So that will be January 27th from 6:30 to 7:30 via Zoom. There'll be more information. We do want people to voice their opinions because this is going to be the look of the downtown in the future. So people need to kind of be aware of that. To spur interest or controversy, one of the alternatives does include a roundabout. So if you love them or hate them or are neutral, there is a roundabout that is in the discussion. So I'm going to throw that out there to get people motivated to
Surprise.
join it. No surprise. So there is a roundabout. So 2A is the Better Places grant. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this would be through the village, but I just want you to know what I'm working on. The village is going to apply for this Better Places, and what it would do is it would give us the opportunity to do demonstration projects, short, quick build, cheap ways to look at some of those things that come out of the alternatives that we'll be seeing on January 27th. The one example I use all the time, because it's an easy one, is the long crosswalk in front of Cody's. How do we shorten that up? What would it look like? And we did that once, but instead of doing it for a week, we would do it for a month or 2 or 3 tweak different things. And it wouldn't just be that. That's an easy example. If you've heard of reverse angle parking, test that out and actually, you know, put the cone so people can practice reverse angle parking, see if they like it, that kind of thing, just to demonstrate, hence the name. Some of the options that will come out of the alternatives meeting, give people a chance to try them out, try different things. So that's what the Better Places grant would do. And some of those could end up being long-term, like the crosswalk. If we figure out a nice way to do the crosswalk in front of Cody's, it could end up being permanent, but this way you're not spending the money before kind of test driving it. So Better Places is not to be confused with the Better Connections grant. And this also would be a village grant, but because the town has the municipal plan and the plan commission, it has to come from the town. What this would do, what I would like to do is kind of like and I know it's a village master plan, but how do we better connect all of the pieces and parts that we're doing? We have the MBU sidewalk, we have the Lake Street and McClellan Shore, we have the downtown scoping study, all of those pieces that we're working on, plus those pieces that we want to work on. You know, we want to look at streetscaping, we want to look at redevelopment, infill, just all of those things that can make a more vibrant, connected Swanton. We have the impending completion of the Memorial Valley Rail Trail. How do we get people off the rail trail into the downtown in a safe way that makes sense? Are there things in the zoning bylaws that we need to look at? Because we're doing that, we're updating them as we go, but can we have somebody kind of come in and say, here's a cohesive overarching master plan on how to, not just, you know, the core downtown area that we've been very focused on, but going out to Depot Street and North and South River Street, going out Grand Avenue, all of those pieces. So it'd be a cohesive master plan. So there is a match, but because this is actually a village, the village would be doing this. There's no cost to the town other than my time to write the grant. But again, because it has to come through the town. And I realize that in some ways it affects the village, but it is, the idea is, you know, how do we look out beyond just the core that we have been and start looking out toward the village and kind of that, what's the word I'm looking for? Transition from village to town. So that I am looking for the town to yay, nay. The deadline for the letter of intent is the 15th.
Do you know what's available for grants for that?
That is the Better Connections grant.
But do you know money-wise what's available?
So the maximum is 75,000 total with the match. So we look at St. Albans a lot because they're the closest. They've been very effective in what is successful in what they're doing. They did a master plan in 2009. I have a copy if anybody's interested. In 2009, it cost them $47,000. So I was thinking if we went to 55 or 60, I hate to go for the max sometimes because it's a 2-year competitive grant. They may not be as willing, but you know, so if we did 55 with the 5,500 match, that should get us pretty close to what St. Albans has. And theirs is very inclusive. They looked at specific streets. So we could look at Depot Street, North and South. And I know we've talked about the sidewalk and that pretty much was a no-go at the time. But look at some of the other area. Sorry, I was reading the chat that came up and got distracted. So I think if we ask 60, and then the other idea is the phasing, because we're kind of doing this kind of piecemeal as people come, you know, or ideas come to the forefront. But this would give us specific projects, and then we can start planning the budget to be able to do those. I will say that a few of us talked to Chip and Dominic in St. Albans, and streetscaping, he said, was the best investment they ever did. It just makes it look like if you care about your community, then others will care about the community too. So that is, and that's, you know, how do we phase that in? So that's what we would like to do.
What is the match?
It's 10%. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not bad. So for the, and again, this is all run through the village, but the application has to come from the town. So it would just be my time in writing.
But
the
it's,
grant.
the match is it's a scoping study, not building something, so it can't be done in kind. Like,
It cannot, the village will, the village would be putting forth the match and they've already approved doing that. So I just need a.
well, I think it's a great idea. I think it would be nice to have some people that are using the walking trail be able to come into the downtown and into over by Hannaford and be able to spend some money in our community while they're hanging out, you know, help our businesses and it, like you said, you know, it's important that people are proud of their community. And I think that reflects, you know, in other ways as well as, you know, the way they treat their homes and the flowers that they plant in their yard. And I think people would have more pride in their community if they had, you know, that connection as you speak of. So I love it. I don't know if you don't need a motion. You just want all 5 of us to give you a thumbs up, right?
That is correct. I don't need a motion at this point.
I think I'm all in favor. Doesn't hurt to fill it out, see what we get.
Absolutely.
Okay. So 3A, I think if you saw the article in the Messenger, you know, it was taken, I was slightly misquoted. Adam asked if we could get it down by September 30th. I'm joking, more jokingly than not said sure, but probably not. I'm an optimist. Well, it might, but anyway, so that is moving forward slowly.
Yeah.
B and C you can read, it's just an update. We're applying for some funds to do the brownfield cleanup and to have a revolving loan fund to help some of our small and emerging businesses. And Heather, I'll need to talk to you about that at some point, just because I'm looking for some small and emerging businesses and I know you've got your finger on the pulse of that.
Okay, sure.
And I'm sorry.
No, so the revolving loan fund, we're trying to get some money put in there for that fund?
Yes, so this would be through the SCP, not through the town.
Yeah.
So we could just, you know, do like small facade grants and that kind of thing. So it would be separate from any CDBG funds from the later evaporator, just so we're clear. And Mark, yeah, if you would pass this for me. And Ed, if you would take one and pass, oops, actually, I'm going to give you one for David. I think he got the email, but he can have a hard copy. Thank you. Heather, I emailed this to you.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, it is an update from Bethany. We met this morning. And it's still moving forward. There is an action item here. The original idea was just to do the sidewalk. And and let me be clear, we're not constructing a bike lane, but they would like to do a conceptual plan that includes a space for a future bike lane. They're still in the right of way, so they're not encroaching any further. The one thing that it would do is it would move the sidewalk further off the road. There would be the 5-foot greenway, and then there would be the area for a bike lane should we decide to construct one.
Yeah.
The issue, the thought was that since we're going to be there anyway, that, you know, the whole complete streets and V-Trans and Bethany agreed that if we're going to be there, you might as well do it now and not think about it later. So that was the idea. My only concern was, you know, I just want to make sure we're not any further into some people's houses, but we're still in our right of way. And, you know, it has still come up a couple of times and we're very cognizant that there are some people who are not completely thrilled and we understand that. So just working with them. But that's the thing. And I said, I would ask you tonight if you had an issue with the bike lane.
Is that gonna cost us more money?
It is not. It's just, they'll just leave the space for it and construct the sidewalk.
Matter of fact, we want-
That's within the right-hand side of the roadway. It's not on the other side where the sidewalk is. It's just widening the road more.
No, it's actually, it would actually be on the same side.
Yeah. next to the sidewalk.
I don't know.
And 3 feet or something, I don't think it's huge.
It's not, it's, what is it, like 4 feet?
I think so, maybe
Yeah.
4 feet.
Yeah, I can find out.
Just
though.
my initial concern is how much more room is that gonna take from the residents there that voice their
So
concern?
she said it wasn't.
It's
gonna-
still in the right of
Still-
way.
Right, that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
still in the
Right.
of way,
I
but-
understand, but
yeah,
Right, that's,
again,
yeah.
I think it's worth reaching out
Yeah.
to them, and as I said in the meeting this morning, I promised when we started this project that we would keep them in the loop so
Yeah.
that there weren't any
Yeah.
surprises, so
And it
I,
doesn't mean that we have to agree to do it anyways, they can put it in the plan and say, we're not gonna do that because we want less room for their property.
and it's not that hard to take it out,
Yeah,
but
it's just a
that's,
swap.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure we're sensitive to the residents.
yes, absolutely. I've harped on that, I think, quite a bit on the, so the next monthly call will be on February 2nd. We're doing it at 8:30 once a month. We don't anticipate having a real update before then because it's going to take them a few months. And then once they get the conceptual plan, it has to go through a comment period with V-Trans and some A&R and ABC and every other thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're looking at about 9 weeks, but we just want to make sure the process for scheduling is moving forward. Yes, Heather?
So how many feet is the bike? I'm sorry, I must have missed that.
We're not
We
sure.
don't
We
know.
think like 4 feet.
Is there a way that you can add more road on the other side?
That's outside the scope of the project
Yeah.
because everything was, plus, yeah.
Because
We're
there's,
just putting
there
that
power
in
lines?
Design, that doesn't mean we're gonna do it.
Right.
It's just gonna show it on their print when they design it.
Well, and I think it does make sense to have it on that side in a way, because again, it does move the sidewalk off. And that was the
Yeah.
biggest, the two issues were how close is it going to be to houses
Mhm.
and how close is it going to be to the road?
Yeah.
So while it's still in the right of way, it does move the sidewalk off the travel lane to some extent.
Well, I mean, widen the road and
Oh,
then,
you're talking a huge expense.
Oh.
And that is the state road at that point.
and then I thought, well, if there's a bike lane, do you need 5 feet of green space anymore?
Well, and that was the other thing, but that's kind of the ideal because again, keep the people off the street. And we can talk about that because they'll present the conceptual plans to the select board, and that's one issue or that's one question that can come up.
And
Totally
February
agree.
2nd, is that something that's open to other people attending?
I believe you got the invite.
Okay,
So I don't know. I've so many meetings, I'm confused on who's got what invites, but it may not be, but I
Well,
don't
have it
know.
written down. I have it written down, so I'll try to be there for that. It's
Okay,
at
well, and I certainly, as a select board member, I think you're probably within your right. I don't know that we want a whole bunch of, public just because it's,
Yeah, it's not open to the public.
right,
It's
but
If I
I,
may, Elizabeth, just
Sure.
make sure I get that link, because I am on that.
yeah, okay.
Could I just ask, what
Hold on.
what road are we talking about?
Vermont Route 78 up to MVU, adding a sidewalk on the north side.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I think why they're putting it so far, the distance from the road also has to do with plowing in the winter.
Yes.
It does in the speed of traffic.
Because I found out the plows are 14.6.
Something like that.
Yeah. Which does remind me, you had asked me about you said a street sweeper. Did you mean a sidewalk plow?
No.
You meant a street sweeper?
Sweeping the road, sand and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
We might need one of those shortly, so.
Well, that's why I wanted to clarify with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was that. And then you can read the back on a personal note. For whatever foolish reason, I'm starting school next week.
Good for you.
Thank you. Remind me, I'll remind you when you said that when I'm cranky. Was that it for me? South River Street, I think. All right. Leader is still, we're still doing paperwork, just so you know, it's still on the radar.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Elizabeth?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for all the updates.
Oh.
Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
By the way, class 4 road announcement, that must be you, David.
Yeah, that.
That deals with what you told me about the day, about the
Oh,
responders complaining about
okay.
hazard roads,
Yeah.
it's class 4, and then
Yeah.
if class 4 is not maintained.
Yeah.
In the winter, I just want to make sure you get.
Yeah, no, I'll just put that announcement out there that there's probably more than this, but the two that I think off the top of my head, the hazard road, off from Bushy Road is only, we only maintain half of that, the paved half in the wintertime. The other half is not maintained in the winter time, that goes out 207. And the shoulder road comes off 105 and also comes off the Bushy Road. On the Bushy Road end, it's not maintained in the winter time. So there was concerns with the fire up that way a week or two ago when the fire truck came through on non-maintained end, and it was slippery because we don't maintain the road, so I sent an email to the proper people and told them just to make sure that the rescue and everybody knows that we don't maintain our road, so,
Yeah, I let Joey know also.
Yeah. yeah, so. All right. And, winter roads policy,
I
You
put a
put a
copy
copy
of,
of that.
the town's policy in the
yeah,
packet.
and that's page 7, I'll just touch on that a
Everyone
little
to,
bit, but I'm not going too far into it.
No, it's just there for,
Yep.
reference to. anyone
Exactly, yeah.
New on the select board.
I just want to make it clear that we do not have a bare roads policy in town of Swanton. It's not, we just don't have the funds to lay salt down like the state does.
Yeah,
The best we can do to get them cleared. Each plow route has approximately, each truck plows approximately 15 miles of road. And it takes 3 to 4 hours for that one truck to plow their section of road. We have 4 trucks. They're out there plowing. So if you can stop and think that they go through one time and it's still snowing and they go through 3 or 4 hours later, it's gonna have some snow accumulation in the road. Yeah, but we only have so much manpower and so much equipment. So we do the best we can. Drive slow, be careful.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
part of the policy is that if a mailbox gets damaged,
Yep,
the town does not pay.
you're not liable. Yeah.
Replacement, that's the most common call in the
Mhm.
winter.
Yeah.
About roads. And then there's also, a section in there, a state law, which prohibits plowing your driveway snow across
That's
a
right.
town or state highway.
Absolutely. It's a hazard, very serious hazard. Causes drifting and everything else.
And you see that a lot, unfortunately, it still happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it still happens. We throw trails in the road and it makes ruts and it's dangerous for people. So I just wanted to touch on that. Anybody have anything on that, on the road policy? Okay. Any other updates? I spent some time up at the garage today with the guys. Our small single axle needs a new oil can. They're working on that. Sprung a leak, so they're fixing that. They'll have that back here tomorrow, so.
I wanted to discuss the town winter maintenance policy here. It says the town of Swanton begins plowing when the snow is accumulated to 2 to 3 inches. After roads are clear, sanding and salting will begin. You may have already seen the correspondence that someone wrote in saying that McQuam Shore was sanded and not salted, and then it was sanded again. Does
That's
this sound familiar?
Yeah.
And so I just
We
didn't.
don't use pure salt.
What's that?
We don't use pure salt in the town of Swanton.
Okay.
Like
What do
the state uses pure salt on their roads, we don't have, we'd have to increase our budget by $100,000.
So what do we use? We don't use salt at all?
Our sand is mixed with salt, but it's probably.
Okay. So it's mixed with salt.
10%,
Okay.
Maybe 20, but
All right. Well, because I remember, previous people telling me that salt will only melt the ice when it's warm enough, and that sand is more for when it's super cold out, and the salt won't make a dent. I didn't realize you guys mix the two together.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
some pretty sharp cookies that work for us in our town. We're lucky to have them, so. they've been doing it
Oh, I appreciate them. I'm just checking up because there was a concern that was brought to us, and I just wanted to review that. Thank you for that information.
There's other towns that use pure salt too, but they have, $100,000 more in their budget for salt than we do.
Wow.
We do the best we can and get the roads as clean as we can, as quick as we can.
Okay.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I didn't see the correspondence that you folks received. I'm not aware of it, but being retired, I didn't need to clear my driveway during the snowstorm on Saturday, but Sunday I went out with my snow blower and did my driveway and a couple of my neighbors. Then I had to go to Ace Hardware, and McQuam Shore Road was very defrosted and slushy, but not recently scraped. And then of course, when I approached the the railroad, or before the railroad tracks on Lake Street in the village, then the roads are bare. And when I stopped at Ace Hardware, I noticed all the slush hanging to my car, and I noticed when doing my own driveway, shortly after I blew the snow away, the sun was out and my driveway was melting. But that doesn't occur on my road. I didn't go elsewhere in town, but it doesn't occur on my road because after the snowstorm, the plows never come back to re-scrape. And I can understand your concern about budgets and the sand and whatever other mixture, cinders, I would call it, put on the road. But I don't understand why, when the temperature is such that a simple re-scraping would help the road to completely dry out, that doesn't occur. And because it never occurs on this road, I know from experience that then the ruts build up over time and the road becomes rather dangerous. And of course, this is a road that's sort of the premier tax district, so I don't understand why it's not maintained a little better.
Well, so I'm gonna stop you right there, Mr. George. Your road's maintained the same way every other road, 56 miles of roads maintained in the town of Swanton. And I will correct you that on Sunday, the plows went out twice. They went out Sunday morning and plowed, sanded, salted all our roads, sanded them. And they went back out again later in the day and scraped them down after it sloughed up, the roads busted
Yeah,
up.
well, I know you don't like hearing from me, but I will just say I was out mid-morning and through the end of the day, the plows did not come down our road. But again, I know I'm obnoxious in your eyes, so but that's a fact.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, well, sounds good. How
you.
are you gonna follow up on that?
Hey, thank you. I appreciate your,
I'm not gonna argue with Mr. George.
can I speak for a minute? Thank you for your comment, Roger. I appreciate you speaking on behalf of your road. I just want to mention that one thing to keep in mind is the village roads are cleaner because they don't have as much mileage to cover.
Yeah.
So you think about the village.
Heather, I'm gonna correct you. The village used pure salt on the roads. That's why they're clear and dry.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
That's right. They don't use sand unless it's.
And I see time and time again that from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., this particular town of Swanton road is not cleared. And I'm just asking why. I'm sorry I get a little frustrated, but I'd ask the question, and I don't like the contrary answer because it's not true. I was outside the whole time.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you. I'm telling you what my highway guys told me today.
Yeah.
They were down there twice.
Maybe you could look into that.
I just talked to him this morning. I'm not gonna argue with you over this. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is ridiculous.
Yep. Sorry that you're not happy. Anything else, Mr. George?
I think anything else would be ridiculous, to use your word.
Yeah. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm gonna move on.
I wouldn't argue with you either, sir.
Thank you.
I respect your service. I respect your service to our town.
Thank you. Any other necessary business? Discuss future meeting for places for the select board. Does anybody have an issue continue having it here at the town office? No.
I'm fine either way. I certainly respect anybody's thoughts or concerns of how they want to go. I personally myself have underlying issues, but I'm learning to cope as well as anybody. And if we decide to go 100% Zoom, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm comfortable at this setting as well. So whatever the board decides, I'm good with.
I personally like this. I know everybody has their concerns, but I like this meeting together so we can all discuss whatever we're gonna discuss rather than going back and forth over Zoom. I mean, it does work, but when we have to sign paperwork and stuff, we're here to sign paperwork. So,
I agree with you, Jim.
yeah. And I guess I'll leave it to this, if you don't feel comfortable in the meeting, just do Zoom like Heather's done, you know?
From this, as long, I think it helps having this set up now that
Mhm.
we've, now that we've figured all of this out, I
Yeah.
think that helps. But it was the meeting, not the last meeting, the special one, but the last one. There were a lot of issues with people not hearing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I think on both sides. So
Mhm.
now that apparently everybody could hear and be heard, I think it does make it easier.
Yeah, well, we have to be careful when someone tries to talk over somebody else. It makes it
Well, I'm a
complicated.
little quicker with the mute
Go ahead, Brian.
trigger.
There's one other discussion involving around meeting places. And every year, in February, the last Monday, we have, that was just last year, we started doing a double meeting with the trustees to give an informational meeting on both budgets separately
Yeah.
in the same room. And that was over in their building. The issue this year is there would be a limit of a total of 25 people allowed in that room. And with both boards there and staff from both boards, it may exceed that
We'll
amount.
probably have to do
So
our
we
own
may have to
individual
split it.
meeting by Zoom, you know?
Or split it.
Yeah.
And do ours separately.
That's what I'm saying. We'll have to
Yeah.
just do ours here and do it by Zoom and.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, I
We
just
got
wanted
a few
to
months
be
to
aware
worry
of
about that, but. All right. Anything else?
Well, you know, can I speak?
Oh, go ahead, Heather.
Yeah, so I've sent an email out to everybody today. I think you all got it by now.
Yeah.
I've had several complaints from the community about the boards. Our board is one of the few boards that's still meeting in public. And we are setting an example for a community, and we're telling them not to gather with each other. And we're telling these people to only have 2 families visit for the holidays together. This is what the governor is telling everybody to do. And I just think as a responsibility as people in the community that are in leadership positions, we should be more concerned about showing an example for the rest of the town that we respect, the governor and the guidelines that he's set, and that we should be worried about the health of our community. And how is it fair that the town of Swanton can meet and gather, but other people in the community, we're asking them not to do that? We can make appointments to sign paperwork and stuff like that. But I personally think we should be on Zoom. Our numbers are higher than they were in March, April, May, June. And we were all 100% on Zoom, and we didn't have any issues then. So now that our numbers are at all-time high, I don't understand why we're continuing to meet in public.
If I may, Heather, I got your email. I certainly respect what you're saying. I respect how you choose to, but I think if we're following the guidelines, less than 10 people, and we're individuals, we feel that we're following the policy. I think as individuals, we go to the grocery stores, we go here, we go there. If we're not comfortable, I think we can all take that course of action. We're not forcing anybody to come to any meeting.
That's right.
I think as individuals, we're deciding, and if the health officer, Joey, feels that we're violating something, please let us know, because I think that's very important.
He's still on.
Yeah, I was
Chief's
just gonna
down.
say, Joe, you wanna chime in?
Probably will.
He's muted.
James.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. So the issue at hand is all about space. And the guidelines are not as clear as what some people think they are. There's a lot of gray area in regards to select boards, trustees, city councils meeting, and whether or not those rules actually applied. Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns actually has some guidelines for select boards and so forth of how they're doing meetings. At bare minimum, long as you're not having the general public in your meetings, you're fitting the scope of what the governor is trying to do for limiting meetings. The big issue is going to be the annual meetings. I know just about every town that I've seen is doing their annual meetings via Zoom. at least for the public, no public being there, because you're not going to have a space, because the last thing you want to do is not have it by, solely by Zoom, and then have public show up and not have enough space for the public and have to, change your date for your meeting because you're not allowing the public in. So I think the biggest discussion you folks have to do is how you're going to do annual meeting. I mean, for example, if you did your annual meeting where the two boards were together just for time's sakes, and all of your audience was via Zoom, the village auditorium has the space to spread out so that you can make that work and follow the guidelines of the governor. That way you show some solidarity as, boards, but yet you keep the public safe. I mean, there's pros and cons to the whole thing. There really is.
Okay,
Yep.
I spoke with Diane the other day, the village clerk, and asked her how the trustees are meeting. And she told me they're meeting the same way the select board is, in person at their meeting with no public. So we're not the only board in this area that's doing
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's
I
it's
just do-
Swanton Village, Swanton Town, and Berkshire. Those are the only people that are still meeting in person.
And if the four of us are comfortable coming to the meeting and you're comfortable doing it by Zoom, then we'll just continue doing that. I don't think we need to change it. And if we're not comfortable coming to the meeting, then we'll do it by Zoom. Yeah, everybody agrees with that? Well,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes to the individual, and if
Exactly.
we get to the point that governor changes his orders, then we'll go from there.
Anything else, Heather?
No, that's it.
Nine.
Correspondence, we already go there. No, correspondence, David, anything?
other than thank you notes to the different charities that get money every year from the town. Other than the one we mentioned at last meeting, there were no requests for additional.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Public comment. I just have one thing to add, and then I'll ask if anyone else any. Christmas lights in the park, we're taking them down Saturday, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I got an email. So anybody out there against this wants to help them take the lights down in the park, we'd be glad to take the free help. 8:30, 9 o'clock, Saturday morning, this Saturday is.
You'll be getting a group of MBU students.
Oh, wonderful. No.
That's great. I might add, I did it last year by myself.
Yeah.
Any help is appreciated.
Yeah, no, it never hurts to try.
Yeah.
Public comment, anybody else got anything to discuss quickly that's not on the agenda?
Mr.
Yeah.
He's talking, but he's muted. Oh, no, he's not. Okay.
No,
Are
I think
you,
we're
did
good.
you have something?
I've tried to unmute myself a couple times. I'll try to behave better, but my wife had a good suggestion. Next time our road is not maintained, perhaps I should go out with a digital camera and take pictures. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that you would welcome those pictures, but I see the board chair holding his head. I hope I'm not upsetting you, but would you like me to do that if I'm in town and could get such pictures?
Roger, James is in no way, if I may, I'm sitting beside him. He's not being any disrespectful.
I don't know who's speaking. I'm sorry.
Sorry, this is Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I'll just speak, and I'm certainly not trying to choose any sides, and I know we can all sometimes have a choice of better words, but I'll say this, James in no way is sitting here with his hand on his face being disrespectful. Watching him, so if you took that as being disrespectful, I'll apologize for the board, but there's no way intending he's being disrespectful. He's got his hand on his face. I just gotta say that.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to mention, Roger, I think we went over earlier that we do not have a clean roads policy, right, James?
That's correct.
So that means that they're doing the best that they can do, but they do not guarantee that the roads will be completely clean and on every street. Is that right, James? Is that how it works?
Well, basically, it states that we do not have a fair road policy. So the road's not gonna be bare during the storm. It might take a day or so after the storm, like the last one, if it was hard paying and it froze down hard, it takes a while to break it up. Especially if the weather's not warm enough to make the materials work. That's the hard part.
Okay.
No, and I understand again, our frustration on this road is without, and I know there's some discussion of whether salt is appropriate or not, but because the road is not re-scraped, Sunday was a very warm day. I was out snow blowing by about 10:15 and neighbors had shoveled the day before. There was no slush plowed into their driveways, nor was there through the next morning. So in fact, our road hadn't been visited with a plow twice. And I understand there's not a bare roads policy, but on a warm day when the storm is not ongoing and so difficult to keep up with, I think would be helpful to help the road dry out and not present ruts in the future that it be scraped. But if that's not our policy, I have some concerns, but I don't live too far beyond the end of Lake Street, so I don't worry terribly about being in an accident, but I know others do.
Hey, Roger, there's nothing, this is Mark again. There's nothing to say that we can't change. We can't take an additional pass down there. We just need to continue to get feedback. If the road is not maybe up to par, doesn't mean we can't go down and hit it again.
Yeah.
We just need to know. It's not that we're being neglectful.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to change our ratio a little bit. And that's great, but it doesn't mean that we're doing something malicious. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
that's the
no,
thing that we may get.
yeah, I just saw this on your agenda, so I thought I'd comment. I know on the rare winter occasion when my wife or I drive along our road up to St. Albans, you know, as you know, the difference is very marked when you cross the St. Albans line and the road suddenly becomes bare and not too dangerous, but
No. And did you hear me talking, Mr. George, about that earlier? We were talking about the roads that St. Albans uses pure salt, unlike we do. So it makes a huge difference. That's why the roads are bad.
Yeah.
You know, and their budget's $150,000 plus probably a year. I think it's more than that now for salt that they use.
Yeah.
Compared to what we have, was it 50,000 or something? 20,000, yeah, 20,000 for salt. So,
And the size of our community is so much larger than the community St. Albans has.
yeah.
I think the other part of that, Roger, that, because I've had this discussion with James just this past weekend.
Yeah.
And we talked about the lake and the condition of the lake. You know, we could sit here and argue about sand and salt, but the more salt we put on that road, the more runoff is gonna go into that lake. Would you agree?
I wouldn't, because I haven't seen the correspondence that was sent to you, but I've heard about it, and I know that individual, and I believe someone, Karen Bates from the state, when she was at my property before her presentation to the board on September 1st, I think she concurred with that judicious use of salt is better environmentally because all the cinders and sand put on the road clog things and prevent normal absorption. So, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Upcoming events. Martin Luther King Day, Monday, January 18th, 2021, town office operations will be closed. Next select board meeting Tuesday, January 19th, 21, 7 p.m. by Zoom, or the select board will be here in person at the town office, or by Zoom. Planning commission meeting Wednesday, January 20th, 2021, 6 p.m. by Zoom, includes public hearing on proposed zoning amendments. Next DRB meeting is Thursday, January 28th, 2021, 6 PM by Zoom. Anything else? No, you good. Executive session, you hear most of you go in executive session.
I move that we go into session. I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential contract and personal information for which premature disclosure to the general public will clear place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage. I'll second that.
All in favor, saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that based on just made findings that premature disclosure will place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage to enter executive session. We'll call on vote. Motion.
Yeah.
Second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call. Heather? Aye.
Aye on both.
Aye.
Okay, Mark,
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
Okay. We're now in executive session at 8:12.
Will we be coming out with anything? or-
Yeah, we're gonna come back out, have the library wait, if the library's still listening.
Oh, okay.
because we
Hold
want to
on,
discuss the
I
library.
got 3 things to do. I gotta kick some folks out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you in the waiting room. If you choose to stay, that's fine. Otherwise, you'll go into the waiting room.
Yeah.
Other than Heather, let's see if I get this right. So everybody, even the library is going into the waiting room?
Yes, yeah, only one I want Heather right now, but we'll come back to the library.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate everybody coming. If they don't come back.
Kaylee, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room as well.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, we are recording. Mark, can
Yep.
you switch that down there a little bit? And I think we're all, now Ed,
So I make a motion to come out of executive session.
A second on that?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say- What's that? Oh, yeah, see,
8:56.
yeah, 8:56, sorry, we don't do that. 8:56, we're coming out of executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Do we need to-
Aye. Heather?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Action taken, none. Okay. Well, we have library on this?
Yep.
Okay. We'd like to discuss with you folks from the library, the trustees, about us working together with the town, taking over the library as far as the building and, like we talked about in the meeting with the two folks in the state. It'd be us taking over the building and the maintenance, and basically you folks would be entitled to the interior stuff as your books and shelves and that material, computers and those things. The hard part is we're trying to figure out is in the process of this, and be taking over the employees to be town employees. And we have to figure out how we can fit this in the same budget, knowing it's gonna cost the town more money because the health insurance and stuff and the benefits. So we've been going back and forth. We kind of want to hear from you folks. Mark, you want to, I think.
Sure. So I think for me, it'd be fair if I say I'll speak for the board. I think we have 2 scenarios. We can try to do this within 2 weeks to get this into the budget to work, to bring Caleb, for you, we get you insurance and the other folks, the hours, we need to know how many hours to try to do all this within 2 weeks, which puts a lot of work on Kathy. Or can we slowly work this in and be fully involved for next year's budget to do the turnover then? We can certainly try to do it this year. It's just a heck of a lot of work to try to do this in 2 weeks to get this ratified for it to work out. So that's kind of where ours is. We know if we do it this year, there's certainly going to be a budget increase on the library to the taxpayers, which we're all very worried about this year. How can we work an MOU out throughout this year to go in place next year? It's a hard one to do. We certainly think it's the right thing to do, to pull the library in, take the building, make you guys town employees. It's just the timing of it. You guys' thoughts?
Excuse me one moment. Elizabeth, can you let Becky up in, please?
Oh, thank you. Can I ask you-
Anybody else?
She could hear us.
Good to hear.
No, she can't hear you yet.
No, she's still connecting.
Yeah.
Caleb's on though. Caleb, you heard it,
Yeah,
right?
well, what I was going to say, my assumption was that anything we did was going to be next year instead of, as you say, the 2-week crunch on Kathy, which I do not think is fair to her.
Yeah.
So it's like from that meeting with Gary Diesel and Laura Keenan, they were describing a very different kind of town library relationship than even we thought. And so I would think that a year for us to talk about it and figure out exactly how that's going to work out is probably more reasonable than the like trying to crush it in as soon as possible and make all sorts of mistakes.
I think that's fair, and I certainly appreciate that, because I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, we're worried. It's just, it puts so much, and I think that we would make some mistakes that would really hurt us in the long run. If we take our time and do this right, if we're all in agreement, this is how we want to do it, it's probably the right way to go.
If I could just briefly recap that for my mother who just joined, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
What Mark was saying is that they wanted to talk about how the library and the town can make some of the library employees town employees, and how to convert the library to the system that Gary Diesel described, with the town taking more direct control and management of certain things. The question / issue was, do you want to try and rush this through this year with 2 weeks to try and figure it all out and have like some drastic increase to the library budget, or wait to kind of figure it out slowly and do it better with the anticipation of doing it next year? And my response was, I felt like we should not like dive into anything, but you're a board member. So.
I would say, speaking generally for the trustees, that 2 weeks is way too short a time to deal with something as complex as this. I hope all of you guys got my notes from the Gary Diesel, Laura Keenan meeting, which was very, very helpful in terms of how towns in general handle the kinds of problems we're now coming up against, as to how towns and libraries relate. I think this is going to have to be a longer term discussion than like right now.
They underlined how abnormal the library has been operating for decades. And so I would say, let's do this right over a longer period of time.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a shift for everybody with like different staff, even possibly.
Okay.
And trustees.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody else out there that wants to jump in on this?
I see some of the other trustees out there.
Oh, initially, right now, Caleb's the one that's the most affected. If he's okay with, I think it's going to take some time, but he's also currently the only full-time employee that is not getting health insurance.
I personally would rather, just for the health of the library and the town, I can deal with this for a year. So I would rather that we do it right later than do it a sloppy job now.
But I think everybody should understand that in the future, when we are hiring a new director and when we are dealing with a full-time children's librarian, this is going to be an issue that comes up. And if we can't offer them town support and benefits, that really makes it very difficult for us to hire full-time, long-term quality people.
Yeah, would it be possible for us to say, I don't know if you would have to like vote on this, but would it be possible for us to say, hey, in the future, it's like Caleb quits, and then future directors can expect to have these benefits by this fiscal year? Is that something that we would be able to do?
I don't see why not.
I think we need to pretty much have a date in mind now. I don't know. Is there an open enrollment period? Do we have to do insurances on fiscal years?
I don't know if there's an open enrollment period, but I would just be hesitant to say, yeah, no problem. I think there's some.
I wouldn't promise it until we got something right. And we've got agreement. this is what we're gonna do.
It's not, yeah, it's not a need. It just,
Because we have, to, like I said, we have to be very careful. We don't have extra money to add on. I mean, it's gonna cost the town more money now for health insurance to add on the library.
okay,
Our
That-
health insurance is
that's
there's
understandable.
more benefits than what you get at the library, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, just realize that this makes it a tremendous handicap to the library in attempting to hire people.
But it's like when we interview people, we can say we are planning on doing this. We haven't set up the details yet. So we can't promise anything, but we can say that.
I don't understand why that can't be said. This is a public meeting and it's already out in the air right now. So anybody can watch this.
You only have two full-time, one full-time person with you, and then there was a full-time child librarian or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's only two people that are technically would be eligible for benefits, right?
Yes.
You have anybody?
Depends on the hour.
Right, the thing-
There's a lot, okay, although this is happy, there's a lot of variations on who can get benefits and who don't get benefits, depends on the hours worked. So it's kind of like, without knowing how many hours each employee works, depends on what benefits they can be offered. So it's like a shot in the dark right now, trying to say, well, yeah, we can, offer two people full-time health benefits, but we really can't based on the way we're proceeding right now, because one, we're gonna continue as we are with the budget as it is. You're in control of the budget, you're gonna be in control of your expenses for the next year until we can get all this hashed out. So we can't say we're gonna, in June, give someone health coverage or benefits because we are not in control of your budget. We're not paying your bills, you're not employees per se of the town right then and there.
Okay.
So until we transition over, we really can't offer those benefits to someone who's not on our payroll or actually in.
And it technically won't be till March of 2022.
Yeah.
We actually take over if we go in agreement.
Well, it'd be
Yeah.
January, because we run on a calendar year, so if we
Yeah.
would try to get things in place for January 1st.
Yeah.
To get things
Yeah, sure, it
rolling.
will be.
Just for dollars and cents, if I may, so I can clarify. On you guys' budget, the staff health insurance listed at $4,800. That's Caleb, that's just for you.
No. That's split between the two full-time positions.
Okay, so Kathy, can you give us off the top of your head for that two positions, what it would be?
Is it single person, Caleb?
Right now, yes.
Insurance coverage if you single on both people?
Yes.
I mean, I assume so.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. take
So
a
how many-
shot in the dark, say 9,000.
Yeah, exactly. So how many full-time employees that are eligible for benefits do you have now?
We have two. We
Two.
have the children's librarian and myself.
Do you have any
Yeah,
employees that
We have
work,
one full-time employee right now.
how many employees work over 25 hours a week? When you're open?
On normal time, normal, pre-COVID. Can you hear us?
No, it's like she's continued to work 30 hours a week. Other staff have had reduced hours, but it's like the full.
No, Cal, how many employees work more than 25 hours a week?
Correct. When
Two.
you're, when the
I mean,
library.
two, one,
Two.
two.
Yeah.
in
That's
addition to
it.
the two full-time?
That's normal, non-COVID run in the library. You know what I'm saying? What you would normally be not talking COVID, so that's what we gotta think. That you only have two employees that work over 25 hours a week.
That's correct.
Okay, so then the other ones wouldn't be eligible for benefits.
No, they would not.
So where I was going, the concern is 25 hours is the threshold. Once they start hitting 25 hours, we have to offer them insurance at that pace.
Municipal.
Okay, so 30 is where we.
Yeah, I thought it was way more than that.
I thought it was actually 29.5.
25 is,
The
Yeah.
other one is for the
retirement.
Yeah.
25 is retirement, sorry. So we just gotta be very cautious
Mhm.
when we talk future.
Yeah.
Well, I think the library has always made it a point to keep its part-time employees
Mhm.
as part-time employees before this crucial cutoff.
We have many employees who work very few hours, so we can switch. If someone's sick, it's easy for us to swap them in. So the average is 10 hours per person.
That 30-hour limit's also on average too, right?
Yes.
I know it is with state employees. It's not like you come on and off benefits every week depending on your
I
schedule.
know,
No.
right.
Right. Right. So if you have a busy week sometime, you can take another week off somewhere and it evens out.
I think it's like it would be the library's responsibility to ensure that there are only two. I mean, the town has only voted on like the library director and the youth librarian being full-time positions. It would be the library's responsibility to make sure that people are scheduled underneath that threshold.
Caleb, are you and the children's librarian salaried or by the hour?
I am salaried. The current children's librarian is working fewer hours, and so she is by the hour.
However, it is a full-time position.
Yes.
And our current children's librarian, who does, I have to say, a fantastic job, just had a baby. Things are a little shaky there in terms of hours, but we would anticipate a full-time children's librarian, which we should have.
Okay, as far as insurances go, for 2 single people, it would cost the town $17,013.36.
For 2 people, Kathy?
For one, for 2
Single.
people.
Yeah. no.
2 single plans.
2 single plans. If there's a husband and wife plan and then 1 single plan, it costs the town $25,422.04.
That's just a big jump. That's what we're scared.
Yeah.
That's the employer portion. I could tell you what the employee portion is, because there is an employee portion that they have to pay. I can get you those numbers.
That's okay. I don't think it's pertinent.
Well, you know,
I mean, I do think that with these numbers, it's like easy decision, deal with this next year. I don't think we have to stress ourselves too much about it. And as you say, these 2 weeks for Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for like finding.
It's way too much. On the other hand, I don't think we could kick this can down the road indefinitely.
No,
And,
we agree.
not a problem.
I think we're all committed. I'll speak for the board to have this in place and ready to go by next budget.
I don't know when we can do, I mean, presumably after town meeting day, but if like Kathy, David, and I, and whoever else is like has experience on the matter, if we could maybe meet and talk about how, because the library has never kind of interfaced with the town in this way. If we could meet and you can just tell us, what do you, it's like, how would the budget work on a case by case example? It's like, what paperwork are you using?
The other thing that I thought was really helpful that came out of the meeting that we had with Gary Diesel and Laura Keenan from the state was that we should be really working on our budget in coordination with the town administrator and the town, rather than us just coming up with it out of the blue and presenting it to you. I mean, we should have some interaction before this budget appears on your table,
Yeah.
which I think is a great idea.
So we make it much smoother than what it's been for all of us.
No kidding.
Well, moving it into the town's accounts is going to help with a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Because then the town will have that information. Well, it might take a year for them to get the whole information, but
There's certainly going to be some giving and taking, that's for sure. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as they said at the meeting, it's like the library's been run kind of like a completely separate entity of like, oh, just like do this. And so there hasn't been much in the way of oversight. And they said, oh, there should be a whole lot more oversight from the town. It's like, okay, let's figure out how that works. Let's do it. But it's a paradigm shift, certainly.
Well, I think it will make it a lot easier for all of us, to come together and cooperate on what we're doing rather than out of the blue having these completely separate calculations. I think that's a good idea.
Well, apparently it's like they said there's, Kathy, I didn't know you used like this cool financial software. Was it Nemrick something?
That's a Never program. It's our accounting program. It's actually Never has, we have a number of modules. We have our accounts payable, our cash receipts, marriage licenses, land records, well, not land records, but our grand list, tax administration, all that. We have 7 modules.
I mean, I don't know how that works, but if it's possible for us to integrate our financials and budgets into that, which we would have to in this case, it's like,
It's not, you would go right into our, you'd be part of the, like, right now, we have a general fund and a highway fund. And they're under different expense and revenue numbers. We'd create your own revenue and expense number for the library. So like, for instance, the general fund is Department 1, highways Department 2.
Gotcha.
Department 3 is the rec department, but their books aren't on our stuff. And then Department 4, we have economic development is 7. So we would give you, you would have a number. So you would have a section of our budget that would be the library, and it would have your payroll expenses, your tax and insurance, FICA, Medi, state withholding, unemployment. They would all be line item expenses within your budget with numbers in there that when the bills got presented and payroll got done, they get paid.
I mean, that sounds a whole lot more transparent than what like we've been doing to date for umpteen years. So that sounds, to me, that sounds like in a policy sense, fantastic.
It's gonna be a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. And we would work this out in advance in conjunction, with the library and the town.
Yeah.
So that there would be no, horrified surprises when the budget showed up. Yeah, I like that.
Except if Kayla buys the water buffalo, we're not buying the seed.
I know I need to like pre-buy them right now, like while I have my chance.
Damn, we wanted the water buffalo.
I'm stocking up on my stock. Jokes.
I think we could put it in the swan pond.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I got one more thing I want to talk to your library trustees about. The community rooms you have downstairs would allowing the rec to use those for their programs. They really need the space. I don't know where we're at. I think we need some kind of agreement that they can use that space. I mean, it's a town space. There's got to be a way we can safely do it and they can use that space.
So what I just wrote was it, oh my God, my mind is going. Was it today that I was writing Nicole about that? And it sounds like it's a good plan. What the ACCD instructs libraries is that we should not have, I forget the exact wording, but it says you shouldn't have public or private entertainment, social, or a third category of gathering of any kind. And my understanding was that the rec is operating under like an education special dispensation through the education department to allow it to occur. And our only question was, would that cover the library as well, or is there some other step? That's the only question.
But I think, just for me, spin thinking out loud, being the rec being part of the town, the library building being the town's,
yeah,
the library being part of the town's, that there should be a collaboration, and I would think that any part of the recreation using any part of that building should be covered.
Mhm.
There shouldn't be a word.
yeah.
We would love to do this. We would really like to support this. The library per se is not approved as a hub site. I don't know if we have to get special approval as a hub site, or if we would just flop over into the Rex approval. I mean, certainly we've got space for kids. We would like to do this. They have said that they will supply staff.
Yeah.
But
I think
I don't know what the hub approval situation is. Do you, Caleb?
I don't understand the approval.
Oh no, that was my
Go ahead.
Hang on.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's a problem for us.
So I'm wearing too many hats at the moment, but so the conversation with the use of the space for the recreation department is not just for the hub, I believe it's for beyond the hub, or the remote learning program. The grant funding we received was for the remote learning program that I've been running. Moving forward, it would be just a remote learning program geared towards children that need that extra space. And it would, and I'm still trying to work out, I haven't got a chance to respond back to you because I'm still trying to work out all of the pieces of information so I can answer all of the questions you sent to me in your email earlier on that note. But I think these gentlemen here are talking about just the general usage of the space for recreational programming, not just in this one instance for the hub that I've reached out to you earlier in the day wearing my recreational programming hat.
Yeah, it is in general also. I think, I mean, we're not using that space for anything else, correct?
No, we are not.
Okay, so then I don't see a reason why the rep can't use that space.
I mean, so what, through the governor's orders, November 14th, 2020, libraries shall not serve public or private social, recreational, or entertainment gatherings until further notice. Those are the orders that we're operating through. If there's like a loophole that says that the rec can do it without having to refer to the hub.
No,
Yeah,
we're not using it as, we're not actually using the library, we're using the community space technically.
What was the verbiage, public and what, Caleb?
Hang on, I have it.
I'm sorry, public or private social, recreational, or entertainment gatherings.
I would consider that more like if someone wanted to use it for a baby shower or something, or a
Yeah.
wedding shower, or it's paint and sip.
The thing I don't get is they can use the garage at the rec building and have the same thing. Why can't we just do it in the community room over there? That's a town-owned building. It's
Well,
commu-
so that goes back into the program I'm running out of the garage at the rec center now is a hub program that was designed through the Agency of Education.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I'm still evaluating that situation to make sure that I've covered all those bases. I'm sure if I did continue to run that program and the library, if we were able to work that out, I'm sure that would still fall under the Agency of Education.
What was
Because I-
Caleb, what's the beginning of that order? How did that order start?
So this is the indoor arts, culture, and entertainment section of the sector guidance. It starts effective 10 p.m. November 14th. These businesses and organizations shall not serve public, private, social, or recreational gatherings until further notice. A household may still patronize the business, but not for special events or events that encourage socializing.
So if the rec department uses an empty room, is that the library providing the service or the library hosting it?
That's exactly our question. It's like if the rec is just using the room and they're under the hub,
Well, it's the,
that's the question.
But regardless of the hub, I think what the question being said is because it's a town building and it is a community room, even though it is within the library, they're asking about the rec being able to use the community space, not the library, just the community space.
Yeah.
To
Well,
run
'cause-
programming or other things.
I think
Not
this is,
just the hub program or remote learning program, as I'm calling it now.
I think that's a bit of a misnomer of like the room is called the community room, but it's a room in the library. That's all it is. And it's like it's dedicated for that, but it's a library room. That's what it is. And that's what
But the
we,
bottom line is you have the space, the town owns the building, and if there's no reason why we can't legally use it, then I think we need to start allowing rec to use the room downstairs.
Yeah,
Do it safely, and if it's fine with the state, then I don't see why we're holding back.
if we can do it, of course, we would love to do it. One of the concerns that I would have is that the library also serves the greater public. So we don't want to put people in general at risk. It's kind of a mess. Especially since we don't know what's going to happen in the next month when they're predicting a potential really big post-Christmas COVID surge. I don't know, Nicole. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in previous correspondence, you stated that there was a separate door, separate entrance.
Yep.
If it were to be used for rec
Yeah.
things, would we be available to use those separate entrance, separate bathrooms, so we don't, lack of a better term, cross-contaminate the patrons of the library? So keeping it, even though it's technically in the building that is the library, the space would be more or less shut off and used just for whatever people are coming in for the rec, sanitized, cleaned, and then put back, no footprint left behind, back into the library standing.
Well, we would love to be able to do that. And I
mean, I don't really see any, it seems like kind of a procedural thing that we're talking about. It's not really a big deal. So it's like, I know that you have a time crunch. And so could we just talk tomorrow about how we'll specifically do it?
That's fair.
That's all I ask you guys to work together and we come up with a solution so they can use that. Like, safety.
Yeah, we were already talking about it. Nicole,
All organizations in town.
yeah, we were already talking about it. Nicole already has a good plan. So it's like,
I figured the perfect guy to ask, you're all right there.
I feel good about it. They were just like that one little checkbox I wanted to talk to Nicole about, and let's just talk tomorrow.
Yep, I will.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I forgot that the library has 2 sets of stairs and an elevator. So technically you could shut off one area and there's a bathroom in the basement.
Except for the fact that there's no outside handle on that door, that if it was just like a handle, that would be fantastic.
Heather, do not say elevator.
The cursed elevator.
No, do not say elevator.
1, 2, 3.
Anything else of us, folks in the library?
Nope.
Okay. Everybody good? Yeah, we're all good?
We okay?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Thank
Thank you. Have a
Thanks,
good.
guys.
Good night.
Oh, Nicole, am I calling you or do you want to call me? It doesn't matter.
How are you?
Okay, you call me.
Okay.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion at 9:24.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, all.
Night.
All right, County.